We also have in our midst the Regional Vice Chairman, Mr. Zamal Hussein. We have representatives from the Ministry of Agriculture. We have the Regional Health Officer, I hope she is still around. And we have Dr. Bob, the CEO of New Amsterdam Hospital. We have also the Regional Education Officer. We have the Manager of GWI. And we have a number of other heads of agencies who are here this afternoon and who will listen to some of the issues that you will raise after the Minister will have spoken. And we also have the Gaisuko Manager as well, Mr. Mana. Now, as you probably will know, those of you who are following the news, quite recently in our country, the Honorable Minister of Finance did present a 6.5-hour budget to the people of Guyana, which represents one of the biggest budgets ever in the history of this country, which is $1.146 trillion. Right? I mean, I can't imagine how much knots to be behind the one there, so it's plenty knots. So it's a big budget, it's a massive budget. It means, therefore, that our people can expect in this country, over this current year, lots of developments to take place. And all of us will benefit from those developments that will take place, not only in this region, but throughout our country in 2024. As you are aware, our country today is attracting the interests of persons all over the world. People are coming from all over the world today to invest in our country. And that is because we are the fastest growing country in the world. It means, therefore, that the opportunities that are available today, we as Guyanese and we the people of Region 6 must take advantage of those opportunities that are available and will become available over the ensuing year, so that we ourselves can benefit from the investments that we want to make personally. Our ministers are today and over the next couple of weeks will be fanning throughout Guyana. We'll be going to other places, like how Comrade Zulfikar is here with us this afternoon. Other ministers of the government will be moving across, not only this region, but every single region in our country, to explain to the people what are some of the things that are in the budget for them, and what are some of the things that you can expect going forward in our country. So we all have great expectations. We all can rest assured that Guyana belongs to all of us, and all of us will benefit from the resources of our country. We have just started to receive money from the oil, and so you are seeing the kind of investment government is making in people, as well as infrastructure and otherwise. So we are all expected to, to make sure that we take advantage of all these things that are happening. So this afternoon I have great pleasure in asking the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, one of the hard-working ministers of our government, possibly heading the most important ministry in our country, the Ministry of Agriculture. And so I want to invite him to address us.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chairman. Comrades, good afternoon. And first of all, I want to say I'm happy to be here in this community. And we know for a fact that as I'm speaking here, a number of other ministers are out in various areas, as the Chairman would have mentioned, also coming to listen to the concern and explaining to the people the investment that we will be making this year so that we can bring betterment to you, the residents in various communities. You know, a hallmark of all the PPP civic government is that whenever the PPP civic is in government, we always invest in the future of this nation. We always try as much as possible to bring programs so that we can enhance you and your family's life. We can improve what we have inherited and make your life better. But at the same time, build a secure future for your children. The Chairman just now mentioned the amount of money that we'll spend this year to bring programs, to develop the infrastructure, to bring services to the people of our country. So when he said just now 1.146 trillion, you as ordinary citizen, or you as citizen in this country, would say that why the chairman is mentioning that amount of money. That doesn't concern me. I wouldn't get money from those. I have to continue work. I have to also make money available to my family. I have to send my children to school. My wife or my husband or whosoever, my spouse, have to do the things that they used to do. So what is the difference? What are we coming for? But we coming to you to tell you how you can benefit from the investment that we are making. You know, the investment that we are making is the investment we want to improve the vulnerable section of the population, bring benefits to the vulnerable section of the population. And that has been a hallmark of all our government from 92 to 2015 and back from 2020 to now. So when we have a budget of 1.146 trillion, there are benefits in that budget for every single Guyanese. And I will not be too long this afternoon, but I will just highlight for you how you can access some of the benefit. But I want to also say from where we came and where we are today. And I know for a fact that many of you who are living in this community, your life would have been touched by certain economic activities, especially in Gaisuko, the sugar industry. And what are some of the investments we are making in that industry to revitalize it, to bring it back to its former glory, to ensure that it's make its contribution to the country's development. Because not so long ago, all the developments that we have had in this country, most of it came about because of the earnings that we have had from places like the sugar industry. And we have seen also, since the cut in the sugar price by the EU, sugar started to decline in our country. But as a government prior to 2015, before 2015, we saw a future in sugar. We were making the kind of investment. So much so in 2016, Gaisuko would have produced the highest target in this country. And the government at that time, less than a year in office, they said they turned around the sugar industry. But the investment that we made in 2013, 2014 were the investment that were responsible for the revitalization then of the sugar industry. And then 2 years after, we have seen what they did. They closed 4 sugar estates. 7,500 sugar workers were placed on the breadline. Thousands of other Guyanese who were dependent indirectly in the sugar industry, places like the market vendors, the shopkeepers, the seamstresses, the taxi driver, all of those persons would have suffered economically because 7,500 sugar workers stopped earning. And they don't, at that time they didn't have money to spend what you used to spend before they were earning. So the economy, the village economy within this community died a slow death. Since 2020, we are seeing now the revitalization of these economic activities. For example, Rosal. I know for a fact I went to Rosal when we were in opposition. Many families, David will tell you, I went to bottom house meetings at Rosal. The vice president now, the general secretary of our party, and I went to a place called Puhal. Sugar worker literally cry.
3 commit suicide.
Right, they commit suicide. They had to give up utility services, things like telephone, because they didn't have money. Many families were broken up. The husband had to go and leave the community and go to other parts of the country. Some had to use their holiday visas to go outside and work. That was the thing, that was the result of the closure. Today, go back in Kanji now. You go back in Kanji and you'll see the economic life once again developing, because we re-employ almost 1,100 sugar workers who were fired at Rosal. That is why when we say that we bring in and we invest in, we bring in investment for the betterment of the people of our country. And last year, you will see all the sectors, all the productive sectors, we would have seen achieve its target. Rice achieve its surpass its target, sugar surpass its target, other crops, livestock, all, you name it, forestry, everything. The construction sector. The only sector we had a little decline in was in the gold production. And that came about because of a number of factors. And we are now arresting that. Although we are an oil and gas producing country, and our economy last year grew by 37%, the non-oil sector, agriculture, construction, forestry, fishing, all those are the non-oil sector. When you combine them together, they grew by 11.7%, almost 12% last year. The agriculture sector alone grew by 7%. And those are a monumental achievement, because when you look around the Caribbean and you look at around the world, economies are contracting. You have negative growth. People are losing their jobs. Benefits are becoming scarce. Government doesn't have enough money to spend because of crises that are around affecting the world. We in Guyana are very fortunate because we are seeing that government is making funds available so that we can improve people's life. We can bring benefit, we can bring betterment to the people of our country. So when you see 1.146 trillion, the largest budget, there are lots of benefit in this budget. When we went to the elections in 2020, we made certain commitment to the people of our country. We said, vote us in government, we will do the following. We will try to reopen the closed sugar estate. We will double old age pension. We will increase public assistance. We will restart the school cash grant. We will give 20,000 scholarships. We will give 50,000, make 50,000 house slots available. We will bring jobs for the people, 20,000 jobs or more to the people. Those are some of the broad measures. We will reduce fees, rentals. So let us look. I just mentioned about our 5 measures that we said we will do. So in 2014, when we were the last year, the PPP Civic was in government before we came out of office in 2015, we started the school cash grant for school children. At that time, the opposition, AFP and UAFC, said that we were trying to bribe people because the election was due next year, that the following year, that 2015. What happened? We started the cash grant, and in 2015 May, when the election was held, the PPP came out of office. APNU went in government. And the money stopped. They said they have money to pay school children. So they stopped the school children grant. But what they did, at that time, when you calculate the amount, because only public school children was receiving that cash grant, it was equivalent to 1.8 billion Guyana dollars. So they say they get money, but what they did, they increased dietary supply in government by $1.8 billion. So food now, for example, if they got cabinet meeting, or they got seminars, they got workshops, they get elaborate food, money to spend to buy food. So they were taking the school cash grant and increasing it in dietary supply for government officials. We said in 2020, when we campaigned, that we going to restart the school cash grant. When we got back into government. We got back into government. We have only restarted it from $10,000. We increased it to other category of students. We increased it to private school students. So everybody, every student now who attends school, be it private or public school, they are receiving the school cash grant from the government. But we have increased it. And today, This year, every child that attends school will receive $40,000 from the government, plus 4,500 uniform voucher. So every child now will get $44,500 this year. And we'll increase it again next year. So that is one measure. When we said that when we entered the election, we said vote for us, we had started back. We said we got double old age pension before this storm finished. Before 2020 to 2025, we had double old age pension. Old age pension was 20,000. Today it's 36,000. And next year we got double it by 40 or something more. We said we got increase in public assistance. When in 2020, when we got into government, public assistance was $9,100. Today it's $19,000. We said we will give 20,000 scholarship in 5 years. From 2020 to 2025, we said we will give 20,000 scholarship. In 3 years, we already give 21,000 scholarship to Guyanese. And in the next 2 years, we will give more scholarship. So we have surpassed that target. We said we will create more than 20,000 jobs. We are already leaving out the sugar workers that we have re-employed, leaving out the CSOs, the community service officers in the various hinterland community. 1,972 of those workers, community service officers, they dismissed. We re-employ them back, 2,000 of them. Leaving out those, when you add the sugar workers and add those, we have already employed more than 16,000 part-time workers. And for the first time in the history of this country, we are seeing a new category of workers, many housewives. Many housewives are employed in that program. 10 days work for $40,000. And sometimes our own people are criticizing and say that money can't do, that money too small. We are trying to bring economic benefit to the people. You got your husband, for example, let me show you something. Let me show you the economics. You got your husband working at Gaisuku, earning a weekly salary. Or when you add all the weeks and for a month's salary, you have a mortgage, you have to take out money from your husband's month's salary to pay the mortgage. If you get a low income mortgage, you're paying just about $25,000 a month. Now you tell me something. If you could save $25,000 and you get a part-time work and the mortgage, you take $25,000 out of $40,000, you pay your mortgage and you still get $15,000 to do other things with it, but your husband's salary in your touch. That's the economics, that's the kind of benefit. And you multiply 16,000 workers by 40,000 a month and see how much money the government paying out to people, bringing back people into economic benefit. That is why I'm saying, when we are in government, every time the PDP Civic is in government, we brings program that is beneficial to the people of our country. We bring program that will improve people's life. We bring program for the betterment of the people. For example, let me tell you something. When we had President Jack Dale was the president of this country, hundreds of Guyanese children were able to come, we made them professionals. We sent them to Cuba, they came back as doctors, engineers, another technical officer, agronomists, everything. Because why? We always believe that we have to ensure that we invest in the future of our country. Dr. Waldron, I believe he's a graduate coming out of Cuba. Dr. Waldron, who is the chief executive officer of the GLDA. He was somebody from that program for the second batch he went with. But I'm just showing you, because we always bring development, we always bring benefit to the people of our country. So what this year's budget have? As I said, $7 billion. Last year we had $5 billion that was allocated for the cost of living, to look at areas that we can help people with certain cost of living measures. That have been increased to $7 billion this year. So later on in the year, when we look at programs to see what we can do, how we can help people, for example, farmers. Last year we made $1 billion available to give free fertilizers to farmers across the country. Farmers were able to receive most of the fertilizers that they used last year in their crops, especially the rice farmers. This year again, late last year, the president made $850 million available. As I am speaking now, GRDB and NARI are rolling out a program to give farmers free fertilizers again. So that's another measure to reduce the cost of production. And that's the effect, that's the chain effect you'll see. When the cost of production reduces, the cost in the market will reduce. You, the vendors who go to the market, will get reduced costs. That is why we are working with various stakeholders, for example, these farmers market that we do, to bring cheaper prices to people around the community, to work with you all. No government ever do farmers market. Farmers market was never done in this country before. Now we are seeing, last year we had over 13 farmers market. And when people go to these markets, right at Albion we had some farmers markets at the Albion complex road there. 2 of those farmers market. So these benefits are being made available to the people of our country. $7 billion now we have in this year's budget to look at measures so that we can bring those measures to reduce or help people in terms of because with the high cost of living in terms of international issues, for example, when we had the pandemic, the freight costs gone up tremendously. What we did as a government, we took out reduced the freight charges so that the costs for importation will be less. Fuel. Today, the government of Guyana is not charging a cent of tax on the fuel. Every year, annually, it's costing the government over $75 billion. So if we're going to collect tax on fuel, if we're going to collect taxes on fuel now, we're going to earn $75 billion. We forego that. Because if fuel increase, the cost for items will increase. And that is why we are making these available. We are reducing the cost so that we can have these produce. Cost of production reduce. When fuel increase, a lot of things will increase. Costs for produce will increase, transportation costs will increase, and all that the effect will have. In this year's budget also, you will see a number of items that used to have VAT. We have taken out the VAT. For example, sporting equipment. Sporting equipment. And sporting equipment and other technological equipment. We have taken out the VAT, and so you'll get reduced costs. We have already, when we assumed government in 2020, the former government would have put VAT on things like agriculture machinery, agriculture input, medical supplies, educational supplies. We took out the VAT on all those things. Those are VAT free today. We have reduced land rental and D&I charge, we reverse it back to where it was from $15,000 when they increase it to $3,500. We have reduced that. So you will see measures that is in this year's budget are measures to help you. Again this year, although we have surpassed the target, you will see a number of people, a number of young persons who have applied for the Gold Scholarship will start their courses. We said in this term 20 to 2025, we will make university education free. This year's budget, in this year's budget, we'll address that. Those students who would have taken loans from the government of Guyana will start to write off. That will be the first area. We'll start to write off those loans. As I said, not only old age pension and public assistance increase, but all the other long-term pensions. For example, NIS pension. NIS pension increased from the minimum from $35,000 to $43,075. An additional $2.6 billion. will be in the pocket for over 7,000 pensioners who are receiving NIS pension. Survivors' pension increased from $17,000 to $21,000. All those persons who are receiving basic, $17,000, now that will increase to $21,000. And invalidity pension increased from $35,000 to $43,000. That's in the NIS category. So all those monies are in this year's budget. That is why it's a large allocation we have made in this year's budget. Also, what we have done, we have increased the old age pension, we have increased the school cash grant, we have also made another measures to address concern for young people. School children today who are suffering or who have eye problems, they can go and get a free eye test. The government will provide a voucher for $3,000 so that they can do an eye test. That is applicable to old age pensioners. So if an old age pensioner needs an eye test, they could collect a voucher and go to any institution of their choice to do an eye test. If they need a spectacle, we'll also, you know how NIS has provided a voucher for those people paying NIS? For pensioner and school children, we will pay a voucher for $15,000 so that they could get free spectacle. They could get, and that is in this year's budget. So when we talk about that, that is why it's important to know what are the measures in the budget so that so if you don't know, you will not get it. Now your child or your children them need eye tests, you know that yes, the government will pay $3,000 per child. They need a spectacle, you know the government will pay $15,000. At least you could get a spectacle for $15,000. But if you need them brand name spectacle, you have to pay more, right? Some people want them brand name spectacle. And also, we have some serious medical issues that we are tackling. For example, one of the issues that we have, cervical cancer. Many female, Dr. Sharma will tell you, or Dr. Bob, who are here, many females don't know sometimes that they got it until it's too late. And many females die because of this type of cancer. Now we are giving and we are making it in, and you could take the option, and you could ensure that we are making monies available so that you can get free tests for this type of cancer. I believe $8,000, we are making it available to every female who wants this test, free of cost from the government. So all those are in this year's budget measure. And I can go on and list all of what in the health system this year. In health care, $129.8 billion we'll spend this year. I just came from Chesney. The comrades them in Chesney were complimenting the government because we built a brand new health center. We have doctors there are going regularly. In Berbice, we'll see a total transformation of the healthcare system. Right now, we are building a new hospital at number 75 on the Corentyne. You know where the baker shop down where they used to have the order line, and the hospital is being built there now. New hospital. That will replace the Skeldon Public Hospital. But in Berbice, we'll have the state-of-the-art hospital right here in Berbice. So all the services that we go to Georgetown for, when the completion of this hospital, all those services will be available here. Things like CT scan, MRI, ultrasound, cardiology service, kidney services, all those things. We are now building, only recently, about a month ago, the president was in New Amsterdam to turn the sod for the construction of that hospital. And we are partnered with reputable international agencies to help us build these hospitals. That is only in the healthcare system. All the other small hospitals places like Port Morant, places like the health centers, you'll see massive transformation and improvements in these areas. In the education sector this year, I talk about the school cash grant, but $138 billion have been allocated to improve education in this country. Scholarship, we are now getting the best pass rates in the Caribbean. Guyana is now today producing the top students in CSEC and Cape. And we are not only producing these students from Georgetown. You remember before, we living in the country area, and if your child passed to go to Georgetown, that's like a big achievement. Queen's President's College or Bishop and so. Today, places like the rural areas, you get the top students for the Caribbean came out of SQ and a Regina Multilateral last year. And many, many students coming out now from rural areas. Many of the top students too, students with a number of grade 1s, coming out from the interior location. Why? Because the investment that we have made over time, the investment that we have made since we have got into government, we are now seeing the results in the education sector. And today, gone are the days when you get a 4 or 5 CSEC subject, or well, our time was GCE O levels. When you get a 5 GCE, or David will tell you, or who older, you get a 5 or 4 GCE O levels, you're top students. When you come out of secondary school now, when you go to tertiary institution, Dr. Chani will tell you, people not check you as anything, you don't complete your education. Today, now, that is why we saw it fit to bring the University of Guyana Berbice campus here, so that people in Berbice can go there. We are now bringing the medical school for UE, University of West Indies, building right here in Berbice. So you got a medical program too. And we are building the law school. Our own law school will be built right at Turkine. So that instead of our students going to Trinidad, they will study right here in Guyana. So all the courses, medicine, all the other courses that the University of Guyana is doing, law degree, all will be done right here in Guyana. That's the kind of progress that we talk about. That's the kind of investment that we talk about. And there are only 2 sectors I mentioned. The housing sector, we say we'll give 50,000 house lots. We already deliver almost 30,000 already. New housing scheme. We're bringing new low-income home to professionals. Right here in your area, we get a number of low-income houses going up right in Region 6. In youth, sports and culture, in Region 6, a lot, many sports grounds now are being developed, are being rehabilitated. Right in your community here, you have a mini stadium right at Albion. That was not in our manifesto. Those are new things. Right here in Berbice, in a matter of 1 year, by the end of next year, we'll have CPL cricket play right in Berbice at the Providence Palmyra Stadium. We'll see a new call center already built there. We'll see a new private hospital going up there. You'll see a hotel going up right at Providence. So Berbice is slated for massive development. And when this development comes to Berbice, there will be more economic opportunities. More jobs will be created. More opportunity, you have a choice. That is why Gaisuko now, they are not getting labor workers. They have to mechanize. If we want sugar to survive, we can't depend for people to cut and load cane anymore. In this, we have to transform Guyana. We have to modernize Guyana. We can't expect to do things how our grandfather and foreparents used to do it 20 years ago and hope for different results. If we want more sugar produced from Gaisuko, we got to mechanize Gaisuko. We have to work 24 hours a day. In the night, you'll get the machine cut the cane and load the cane. So you don't get delays. We are now building a modern packaging plant at Albion. So this government, our government, we have an interest in the sugar industry. Whilst I am speaking here, we have investors lining up to build a refinery at Enmore Estate. We are looking to do other things at Skeldon. We already reopened Rosal Estate. That was another manifesto promise, that we will reopen the closed sugar estate. Since we started out in government in 2020, the first thing that we did was to give every household a cash grant of $25,000. You all remember they called it the COVID cash grant at that time. And then a number of other groups. The president would have made a one-off cash grant to pensioners on many occasions. We give cash grant to the several sugar workers who would have lost their jobs, $250,000. In 2021, when we suffered the most devastating floods in the history of this country, we made $7.8 billion available. And we give to farmers, we give to cash crop farmers, to kitchen garden farmers, livestock farmers, and rice farmers. That is why we were able to repair the damages that were done with that flood. Almost 85% of the agriculture sector was destroyed during that flood. Up to now, Albion is trying to recover from that flood because the entire cultivation were affected at Albion and Rosal. Well, Rosal wasn't in production at that time. But we made investment. And any country, any government that worth its salt will always invest in agriculture. We can have all the natural resources in the world. We can produce a million barrels of oil a day. A time will come when the oil will finish. But agriculture will not finish. Agriculture is here to stay. Our foreparents came from places like India, Africa, and other parts of the world because of agriculture. Agriculture is responsible for food security. We have seen what has happened during the pandemic. Many countries around the world were unable to get food for the population. Even the great United States. You all remember President Joe Biden summons the Marine to get baby formula. There was shortage of baby formula because there was a scarcity of food. There was a downturn in production. In Guyana, we are producing 60% of the food that we are consuming. The president said we must produce more. So what we are doing? The traditional areas, rice, we are increasing production in rice. Last year, in 2022, we produced 610,000 metric tons of rice. Last year, we increased that to 653,000 metric tons. This year, we are trying to increase that to 710 metric tons because our objective is to produce 1 million metric tons of rice so that we can produce more grains. In 2022, we produced 47,000 tons of sugar. Last year, we produced 60,000 tons of sugar. And we set a target of 100,000 tons of sugar to produce this year. In other crops, we have seen massive improvement and increase in other crops production, fresh fruits and vegetables. In the livestock industry increased last year by 12%. We brought in new breeding animals. Last year, we brought in 64 breeding bulls from Texas that we are giving to farmers so that they can increase their breeding stocks. We brought in black belly sheep from Barbados, where we have a program with Barbados to create a new brand. Guyana is building that brand to replace the New Zealand lamb and the Australian lamb. So we are working, we already received 710 of those sheep out of 1,000. So we are working with farmers now to give them these sheep, and they will also give back to GLDA, and we'll increase that type of population in this country so that we can create that brand that we are talking about. In the swine industry, we have massive transformation. Dr. Walter will tell you. In the poultry industry, we have been working with various communities. For example, in the hinterland communities, we have already distributed 128,000 black giant birds. Likewise, in your community, you can benefit from that too. We are working with various families so that you can produce your own eggs. For example, I went to certain community, I said, look, every household, we'll give them 25 black giant chicken. Within a couple months, they start to lay or get your own eggs and lay right through the year. Those birds don't hatch, they only lay. If you want to increase it, you got to get other birds to hatch there. We said we'll start our own breeder program. Every year, we're importing this country almost 53 million eggs to do hatching. We said we'll produce our own hatching eggs. Last year we started it. We'll produce our own hatching eggs now, although it's not sufficient enough, we'll increase that this year. We have to go to new crops. We have to do more things in a more modern way. For example, these high-value crops. We call it these broccoli, cauliflowers, and so these things that sells in the hospitality industry at the hotel and so who normally buys it. We got the young people. We form a company called the Agriculture Innovation Entrepreneurship Program that we make young people now who are shareholders, and they are now producing these high-value crops, selling it to the hospitality industry. We already built over 400 shade houses across the country. We built one of the largest hydroponic farms in the Caribbean with 100,000 plantlets at any one time. We will now replicate that across 3 regions, regions 2, 5, and 10, where young people will be the beneficiary. So all these programs, comrades, are in line, and I can go on and on. Today, Guyana is leading the charge in agriculture. The entire Caribbean is looking to Guyana for that leadership. And I think that our president has been leading this sector. The leadership he has displayed is being looked at by countries around the Caribbean. And they are now looking for Guyana for that leadership to help them to bring and develop their agriculture sector. So when we come out and we come to these meetings, we bring to you programs that can benefit you. I can tell you on and on. We have we started the part-time job. Number of people too who are not involved or who should not be involved in the part-time job, they are targeted to get cash grant too. Sometimes you might get issue at the bottom here where people might try to give them friends. We have to deal with that, right? We have to do it openly. Those who are employed with the 10-day work should not get the cash grant, because the cash grants for people who are not working, so that they can start a small business. All those measures are contained in this year's budget. When you add all those measures together, for example, in the agriculture, I mentioned health and education. I mentioned housing, $78 billion this year we'll spend. Over 30,000 house lots we talk about. $22.5 billion in the water sector. In youth, in solid waste, $2.6 billion. Culture and art, $2.7 billion. Sport, $4.6 billion. Agriculture, $97.6 billion. When you add all together, you add all that sectors together and the investment that we'll be making, it will give you a total of $1.146 billion. So you see how we arrive at that figure. And you see the measures that we have put in the budget to bring betterment to the people of our country. And you rest assured, comrade, as I said, Guyana now is the focus of attention by the world. This month, next week, we'll have the energy conference. We'll start in Guyana, where a number of international organizations and international figures will come to Guyana for the energy conference. The following week, from the 25th to the 28th, we have the heads of government meeting in Guyana, where all CARICOM heads of government, the 15 CARICOM members, plus the 5 associated states, will be in Guyana for that meeting, hosted by our president. Then in March, we have the FAO conference, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations Conference for Latin America and the Caribbean. Will be held in Guyana for 34 countries. We'll be assembling Guyana for 4 days for that conference. Then during the same period, you have the Caribbean Development Bank Governor Conference in Guyana. So Guyana is the center of attention. Today, people are looking forward to come and invest in Guyana. We, from the government level, especially the Ministry of Agriculture, we are trying to bridge and bring capital with asset together. Bring investors to link them with farmers so we can form that kind of partnership. As I said at the other meeting, that we are now going to new crops. I talk about the high value crops. We want to reduce the cost of production. We are now planting our own corn and soya. By next year, we hope to be self-sufficient in producing 25,000 acres so that we can produce all the livestock feed for our livestock sector. If we can produce that, the cost for livestock product will drop tremendously. We are now involved and we are in the gas to shore energy project. That is in construction stage. When that is completed, the cost for electricity will drop by 50%. We'll have cheaper cooking gas and reliable and stable electricity. We are now transforming the entire landscape of this country. We are building now a new 4-lane bridge over the Demerara High Span, 4-lane bridge over the Demerara River. When that bridge is completed, you don't have to wait there for 1.5 hours to cross when the bridge opens. The bridge will not open. It's a high-span bridge. Ship will pass under the bridge. We already built a new 4-lane from Mandela, the back road where you go airport, right on to Diamond. So if we quarantine people, them go airport now and then take Sheriff Street, drive to Mandela and take that 4-lane and come out till by Diamond. That 4-lane now go almost till by the highway. The next phase, we start from Diamond to Bosby Dam, and from Bosby Dam to the highway. From the highway to the airport is close. So right from the Chedijagan airport, you could come till on to the 4-lane at Mandela. But besides that, where the 4-lane bridge will end, from the 4-lane that we have now, we are building a 4-lane road from there to Ogle. So if you want to come and go straight to the airport when you go from quarantine, you don't have to go in Georgetown. You got to drive through Ogle and come out till by the Linden Highway and then go to the airport. You see how easy we make travel in this country? We are now expanding the Corentyne Highway to 4-lane. The bridges them start already. From New Amsterdam to Molson Creek, we are extend that road there 4-lane. So you got 2-lane over that side and 2-lane over this side. And now we are working with the Surinamese government to bridge the Corentyne River. So you're getting a Corentyne River bridge, you can drive across and go Suriname within a couple hours and come back. You will be closer to Naikeri and go Naikeri and come back than to go Georgetown and come back. So close for we in Corentyne, who living in the Corentyne. We are building all the bridges from Linden to Lethem and that trail. We started the road, concrete asphaltic road, from Linden to Mabura Hill. So we have transformed the landscape of our country. We have modernized our country. We invest not only in infrastructure, but we are bringing services to the people of our country. We are bringing benefit to the people of our country. We are bringing more disposable income to the pockets of our people so they can have more spending power. So comrades, in a summary, that's what we are doing. I will pause. You can ask some question or clarification. But as a people, I want to end by saying this, that we must always remember from where we came. Not so long ago, just over 3 years ago, people were trying to snatch our freedom from us. Election was held in March 2020. We had to wait until August because the former government or the previous government was trying all means to remain in power, try to reduce people's vote, try to deny people their rightful place. But because of the fight by our party and the backings from the international communities, we were able to prevail. And today, we are enjoying freedom, we are enjoying progress, and we are enjoying democracy. As a people, we must never allow those who was trying to steal our freedom to ever go back into the seat of power. Let us continue to support progress. Let us continue to support a government that is interested in the welfare of the people, that bring progress and development to our country. Thank you very much.